Rounded Momma's YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us. My name is Sherry.
I'm Emily.
And we are home birth midwives in the Las Vegas area. However,
Emily
is also a doula, which that's what we're going to talk about today. If you find this video helpful, like, subscribe, ring the bell to get notified. But today we're talking about doulas. And that's why I have Emily here with me today, who's going to go through some ways of some questions to ask, how they work, what's the difference between us.
Yeah.
Ready?
What is it?
Get set.
Go.
Go doula.
Go doula. What does a doula do? That is the number one question. Oftentimes, I feel like doulas do get a little bit confused with a midwife. And the number one big difference is a midwife is your care provider, and they are the one that is providing all of the care that you would get with an OBGYN if you're deciding to do a home birth, or if you have a nurse midwife in the hospital. A doula is there to provide physical, emotional support during your pregnancy and then during labor and postpartum as well. So we are not there to make any medical decisions for you, and we are not there to come up with a plan of care or action or do anything when it comes to medical care. Although there are montreses that work with us at Well Rounded Momma and in the Valley, and they are able to do cervical checks and listen to baby, usually with a fetal heart rate monitor, right?
And blood pressure
and
checks.
blood pressure checks. So they do your vitals.
Yes.
And
most of the times a monitrese is a student midwife,
yeah.
Honestly. That is kind of what you're getting when you hire a monitrese, and you pay a higher premium for that because it's a higher skill set.
So a doula is just someone who is there to educate you, to provide referrals and resources, to help support your partner and making sure that they're getting the education and support that they need to be the best support for you during pregnancy. We're obviously there from active labor on until baby's born, and then we come usually within the first week postpartum to help with breastfeeding, again give more referrals if that's needed, and help with housework. Usually I like to bring my clients a meal and maybe hold their baby while they take a nap or a shower for a little bit. That's more of the support that we provide, and I'd have to say during labor more often than not I'm providing hands-on support. I'm doing more hip compressions more than any other tool that I use. So I would say the biggest thing when it comes to natural childbirth specifically is doulas are there for physical comfort measures. However, we're really there to also help you make educated decisions and provide evidence so that you can make the best decisions for you and your baby and your experience. When to hire a labor doula? Actually, that's really good. Your client just asked me that. So I think it's a little different for both. I think for home birth, a doula's role is a little different. We aren't necessarily doing as much advocacy. It's more about who are you welcoming into your birth space that is going to be there to help, emotionally and mentally prepare you, versus a lot of education on evidence as far as what you're doing in a hospital. So I do think for home birth clients, it usually doesn't have to be very early, but I definitely think 20-25 weeks is a good point for anyone to hire a doula. But I think if you're doing a hospital birth, probably 20-25 weeks is a better time frame. You're halfway through your pregnancy, have had a couple more interactions with your care providers, so you might have more questions come up based on how they're caring for you, or certain ways that you might need to advocate for yourself differently, or ideas about your birth plans.
The reason I tell people to wait a little while is because I really think that it's up to your partner.
Oh, you think? I never thought about that.
I really think it's up to the partner.
Yeah.
Because all laboring human beings want to be supported.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's about whether their partner feels like they're that person. Right?
That's a good.
So if they go to a childbirth educator, so I tell them, I said, go to a class with them, have them read a book, have them watch videos, and then if your partner is like, I got this.
Yeah.
Right? I got this. Then let's get them the information. But if they're like, deer in headlights, this is terrifying to me, I would rather have someone either doing those things or guiding me or helping me. So I think when it's up to the laboring person, sometimes that's how a partner gets displaced, by them saying, I'm going to hire a doula to be this support to me, because you're almost saying, I don't trust your ability to take care of me. Whereas when you involve your partner in the question and the decision making, they're not displaced, they're supported. But it takes time, right? Yeah. It's going to take at least 20 weeks for your partner to maybe take a class with you or have that conversation, or maybe they come to some prenatal appointments with you and they're like, I got this, right? Because to me, Birth is about
for sure
the couple.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I usually tell a lot of my clients too, is that it's my job is to give you a break once we get there, because you've been with mom for a while. And the only
time that's different is obviously if you have somebody single.
Oh, for sure.
Or maybe military, they're overseas. Obviously, if your partner's not involved, then it is 100%. Hiring a doula is great, and I would say in that situation, I'd hire it. The sooner the better.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So that way you can have that support all throughout. What questions to consider when hiring a doula? So I do feel like I always get the same questions. And it's a lot of the times, how many births have you been to? And I don't think that always really translates well. So I was actually reading a social media post the other day that I shared, and it said to ask, in what ways have you been trained to support my birth? Or in what experiences do you have that prepare you to support me in this birth that I want? And so I think that's a really interesting question, because it gets a little bit more specific. I have a lot of clients that ask me what tools that I have, and I use my hands more than anything else. And you might not even like it if I have aromatherapy, and then you get into active labor or transition, and that doesn't work for you, right? Or if something changes in your plans. So I think that that's really important, that you have someone who's experienced in the aspect, like you don't necessarily want to only hospital birth doula supporting you at home. Those are just two different ball games. You have to wear different hats as a doula. So I think getting clear on the kind of birth that you want, what you and your partner are looking for as far as support, helps you probe and preface those questions more than just necessarily like how many years have you been practicing, how many births have you been to, what tools do you use. Really get clear on your expectations of how we can serve you, because our job is to do that, to communicate with you and your partner to give you the best support possible.
There are certain things that we look for that is training, but really it's about connection and why somebody's doing what they're doing. I think for me, my number one question for a doula, if I was entering doulas, which didn't really exist when I was having babies, would be, what called you to this work?
Yeah, someone asked me that the other day. That's a good one.
I would be like, what calls you to do this? Based on that information, certainly you could ask some training. I'm a pain in the butt to work for, because I require all my doulas to have adult CPR certification and neonatal resuscitation training, and so I do require them, because I'm like, if you're with a laboring human, the chances of you accidentally catching a baby
are
probably pretty good. I've never met a birth professional who's not interested in more education.
No.
And you want somebody who's going to create a nice safe space for you.
Yes.
And be workable with other care providers and gets along with your partner. Yeah. So I highly, highly, highly recommend when you consult with doulas that your partner be there.
Yes, 100%.
But that's kind of my 2 cents about it.
I agree. Being a student midwife has allowed me to be a better doula, because I have been able to hold space for women better.
I think that's invaluable. You know, for me, like as a midwife, if a doula is there when I show up and she's doing that physical labor, I'm not going to take over. Like, I feel like that connection's already there, unless the doula would want me to, right? If she needs to be spelled or they need to be spelled for a moment, I'm there to make sure that everything's moving the way that it's supposed to be. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't spent hours doing hip squeezes and
for sure,
counter pressure and rubbing backs and playing with hair and massaging feet and doing all of the things. A lot of times doulas do get kind of put in that position where they are doing that physical part. But you know what? I allow partners to do that if it needs to happen. But I think it's about connection when it comes to
always.
And your partner's got to feel as connected as you are. There's our 2 cents. This channel should be our 2 cents about birth, because it's what it was worth, right?
No, we're invaluable.
So that gives you some ideas of what the differences are between a midwife and a doula, how they work together, and how even you can have a hospital experience and have a great experience where a doula can really make the difference, even if you have a terrible care provider, like you said. Share with us down below if you used a doula and what you liked and what you would have seen different, because we always love to hear feedback. We would love to hear from you at Well Rounded Momma. You can always call the front desk, but honestly, if you visit our website, so I'm actually going to have Rebecca link our website down below. It's www.wellroundedmomma.com. All of our doulas' informations, their phone numbers and contact information are there, and they are in charge of their own consultations. So our doulas, sometimes they meet you at the office, sometimes they meet you at a neutral location. It's totally up to the doula, but the consultation is completely free of charge, totally worth doing. you just reach out to them directly, and whatever works for you and your partner, they generally can accommodate. And then the second one is at our open houses. Our doulas attend our open houses, which happen the last Friday of every month from 6:30 to 8. And you can get to meet all of them at kind of one shot, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But if you want that, if you would prefer that private one-on-one setting, calling them directly and scheduling that. If you call the front desk here, we just relay that information to the doulas. But visiting our website and the doula tab is the best way to get to know our doulas. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye.
I'm just gonna like I feel like my head, what if I was like popped up occasionally? Yeah, I'll just get down here and just be like, hold on, wait. Oh,
Where's Sherry?
Where's
There
Sherry?
she is.
And I just like went, actually, no.
That's not right.
Emily is our positive person down here. We love her so much.
A little ray of sunshine.